Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and as you can see, we have the patch 200 note. You can see it's exactly 6 here, so it literally just come out. I, of course, have not seen them, so let's dive in. I think I'm going to go for the card updates first, then we'll quickly read through the rest and see what else is there. So we have card updates. Pack Your Bags is now 5 mana. So here we go. When players are able to transform Go Hard, Pack Your Bags form frequently creates a situation which is unmanageable to play against, given its board impact compared to cost. This should be a powerful payoff, but when players are given successfully transform Go Hard, but it should give the opposing player more meaningful counterplay options leading up to Pack Your Bags. This is a change that, of course, as I mentioned in my whole video of how to change Pack Your Bags, this is just one of the changes they could have done. They could have changed a lot about the card. I think that this is one that makes sense, obviously. It cost 5 to deal 5 damage, you know, that makes sense. Like, a new player to the game won't think, wait, what's going on, you know, because you're dealing 1 to do 1, you know, you're paying 1 mana to deal 1, and then now you're paying 5 to deal 5 to everything. Makes sense. I think new players wouldn't be confused by that, and so it's a good change. It's a change that certainly will nerf the card. You know, I shouldn't need to explain that changing something from 1 to 5 mana, it's a big nerf. But still, the card will be good, right? Because at the end of the day, it's still a 5 mana board wipe. That's something that, you know, no other card really can guarantee you. Sure, Withering Wail sometimes is a board wipe, but of course that's not guaranteed by any stretch, whereas this will most of the time be a board wipe. And I think they touched on the part that is most important. The problem with Pack Your Bags at 1 mana, of course, was that you could just keep developing, and even tap down to like 0 mana with Zap Sprayfin, guaranteed draw your Pack Your Bags, play it, and your opponent could do nothing. They just had to wait. And the problem is, you were stuck there waiting and praying they didn't have it. That was essentially the position you were put in, because as soon as you played a unit, well, it was dying anyway, so you just paid mana to do nothing. And this, of course, also means that Zap Sprayfin will not be able to get Pack Your Bags. Massive change as well, of course, because now that whole deck, yeah, you can get Go Hards from it, but now you're going to have to actually, you know, draw Pack Your Bags. It can happen, of course, but you're going to have to draw it. You can't just tutor it out with Zap Sprayfin as reliably as you could before. It probably means the deck will change in some way. You might see, you know, more Val Feasts in the deck, for instance. You know, I know people started experimenting with adding Val Feast now. That whole Zap part of it now will probably be lesser importance, right? So you'll probably see more Val Feast and the like because it's just a good card. So the deck, I think, will still be good, but I'm very, you know, I'm very glad about this change, and well, we'll go through the rest first, and then we'll see what else happens. So that is the only card update. So only card change is Pack Your Bags. Okay, I wasn't sure if there was going to be more, so, you know, I didn't want to go into, you know, what this means for the meta or whatever if we see other changes. So what does this mean for the meta? Well, it's interesting. Go Hard had some, I mean, it didn't have too many terrible matchups. You know, Feel the Rush wasn't great, but it didn't have too many terrible matchups. And then when sort of Scouts came along, stuff like, you know, Feel the Rush went down because Scouts is really good against Feel the Rush. You know, you just don't have the ability to remove their board well enough. And so it's going to change a couple things. Of course, we see Zoe Lee Sin these days as well quite a lot. That's a very popular deck. So what decks now, if we assume that, you know, Twisted Fate Go Hard will go down, which it will anyway, because there's a kind of a weird thing where even if you just say a card gets nerfed, even if the card technically is no worse, people will play it less. We saw this a lot with Lee Sin. Lee Sin did get worse, but not monumentally so, as we can see now, because Lee Sin is back and is still very good at 5 mana. But the play rate of Lee Sin after he got nerfed from 4 to 5 plummeted. You know, because people just think that card got nerfed, it mustn't be good now. Perhaps because of how we view other decks and other like card games and other, you know, what they do with other cards. Often other card games will nerf a card to where it can't be played anymore. So maybe we're just all taking stuff from that and thinking, well, it got nerfed, so it must be much worse. Or it just feels bad because, oh, remember when this was completely oppressive and it's not anymore? So you just feel worse playing it. It's very possible. So what will this do? Well, I think a deck that I personally really enjoy playing, which is Ash. Riven, you can put Sejuani in there as well, and I'll probably do a video on that. I think decks like that could rise up because Ash Sejuani, you know, back in the old days, became good when Demacia was dominant. And it also had a resurgence when Lee Sin was dominant, because Frostbites are really good against that kind of idea. Now, traditionally, Scouts would have been probably a bit too quick for most Frostbite decks, or, you know, have a 50-50 matchup. It wasn't favored because they were very quick and quite aggro, which could go under an Ash Sejuani. But now, because they, you know, essentially waste a turn playing Grand Plaza and not doing anything to the board, it does give you the chance in Ash Sejuani to sort of, you know, give you that extra turn. And if you can Frostbite their you know, things with Scout on the turn that they get Challenger, well, then they essentially aren't doing anything. So you can just load up on a Frostbite type deck and do very well. Same with Lee Sin. If you can Frostbite Lee Sin over and over, they're in trouble. You know, they're going to struggle somewhat to deal with you. It's not going to be, you know, no matchup. When I say favored, no matchup is going to be like 100%. But I think something like Ash Sejuani will have a pretty good matchup against those kind of decks, and therefore be able to see decent play. Of course, Culling Strike as well, which fits in that deck very well, will deal with a lot of units, like even like unbuff Quinn from Grand Plaza, unbuff Misfortune will die to Culling Strike as well, so that fits well in the deck. Reckoning, even with the buffs, will kill most units in that deck. So it's a deck that I think we definitely will see a resurgence of, and I think, you know, if you want to get a quick beat on everyone playing those decks, then Ash, Riven, Sejuani. You don't have to put Sejuani in. You can just go 3 Riven if you wish. We'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, that's going to be a very good deck, I predict, in the future. With that said, we know Pack Your Bags is worse now. We can all rejoice. But let's talk about, I mean, this is patch 2.0. So I'm assuming there's pretty important stuff in there. I just saw that, you know, this was meant to come out in 2.10, which I'm guessing is in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, I assume then we can expect a full balance patch. So let's read through the rest, you know, see what else is in here. So in patch 2.00, we've got our first ever co-op AI experience. Really excited to see how that works, and, you know, if it's fun. I don't have many friends who play Runeterra, so, you know, maybe even I'll make friends with some of you and play that with you. We'll see how it goes. Can I trust strangers on the internet? We will see. We are in 2021. More information about Shurima, which is going to be cool. I can't wait for the spoilers. Of course, spoilers will come a lot earlier because there's going to be more. I assume they'll start with 5 champions from Shurima this time instead of the 4 that they started with Targon, because of course they have to, by the end of it, have the same amount of champions. I would have thought that's how they're going to do it anyway. So we can expect spoilers even earlier than we did before, which is going to be exciting. So let's look at this. So we have the multi-lab, of course, these days. So we have United Front, Quick Draw, and Welcome to the Jungle. So United Front is the new one. We have some... What's this? We have some new Guardians. This is the Startled Stomper. I mean, elephants are cute. Everyone loves elephants, right? Personality Clumsy, best friend Zoe. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the Startled Stomper. Oh, it makes elephant noises. I love elephants, so, you know, if you're into elephants, that's one for you, of course. Expeditions, they're quite happy with it. You know, just changing some slight things and some bug fixes. Okay, so that's all for it. I of course am hyped. I expect then we will be seeing a big 2.10 in February. We're in the 12th of January now, so this is actually going to be, what, a month away? They were gonna go for a month. We'll be aiming to make balance. Let's read this. We'll be aiming to make balance changes based on our metagame analysis community feed on a monthly basis. However, as will all live, is that meant to be with all live development, this may not be true for every single month. We may occasionally make off-cadence changes, such as this change. Okay, yeah. So they've mentioned this before, right? Like the big balance patch is meant to come every month. But this makes me confused because 2.10 then should come out in 2 weeks. 2 weeks is the 26th of January. So why did it say in February? Am I missing something? Like, they make an update. Hold on, let me go back to the news. They make an update. So you've got patch 1.16 there on, oh god, is this American? It is. It's 14th of December. And this one came out on the 23rd of November. So that's, oh, they took 3 weeks for that one. But if we go back from this one, so the 23rd of November, yeah, patch 1.14 is on the 10th of November. And then 13 days later came patch 1.15. And that's how they'd done it before, every 2 weeks. So I'm a bit confused by that, I won't lie, because 2 weeks away is not in February yet. I'm not being stupid. 7 days is the 19th, and 7 more days is the 26th. So I'm a bit confused by that. Whether this part is wrong or whether this part is wrong. It seems like one of them is a bit off, unless, they take 3 weeks to do it. I don't know. Anyway, Packing Bags has been nerfed. Everyone can rejoice. As I say, I'll probably start off with Ash Riven, which I think is already like a tier 2 deck. But this kind of change, because that was a pretty bad matchup for that deck, because you couldn't pressure them enough to end the game early. And, they had a lot of units to block your units out that don't have a lot of overwhelm or whatever. And they could eventually just remove your entire board. So it was one of the worst matchups for that deck, and of course now you'll probably see less of it. So that's pretty good, and I think it'll be fresh and new in people's minds, and I'm sure people will find other decks as well that have now better matchups than where Go Hard was a particularly bad matchup, but other decks can thrive. So I'm very happy, and yeah, I think that will do it for this one. Let me know what you think, if this is enough of a change. I know a lot of people, when they nerf cards, think the change isn't big enough. I think this one, most people will probably be like, yeah, this is enough. This is a big enough change. A change of 4 mana is good. The fact that you can, as soon as they go under 5 mana, you're good. That Zap Spray Fin can't draw it. That's all good, right? Or at least I hope Zap Spray Fin can't draw it. I assume that that's what this will do, because they transform the card. And if not, I'm assuming that they will fix that as well if it doesn't. So, yeah, very, very excited. As I say, let me know what you think will happen to this, whether this nerf is what you wanted. It's certainly good enough for me. The card is still probably decent, but just not oppressive, and that's kind of what I wanted it to be. So thank you so much for watching. Have a really nice day, and I will see you next time.